Welcome to Resilience Unravelled. Hi everybody and welcome to Resilience Unravelled, a podcast that examines all aspects of personal and organisational resilience. A huge all-encompassing subject that covers the ability to thrive in life by harnessing your cognitive, emotional, physiological and contextual abilities. I share stories from people who have thrived despite remarkable obstacles, as well as highly successful practitioners and experts across a range of topics. And this podcast introduces their amazing stories and expertise, as well as my own reflections, perspectives, strategies and tips, which come from my own synthesis of themes and trends from wider learning. You can go to qedod.com/extras to access offers, tools and resources, including free articles and ebooks. For those of you that would be interested in supporting our work and contributing more proactively, you can find our new Patreon page at patreon.com. Then search for Resilience Space Unravelled. So, let's get started. Enjoy the show. So, hi and welcome back to Resilience Unravelled. Today, I'm talking to someone I met a number of years ago. In fact, I met this person at a client meeting, and she said something very powerful to me that I've never forgotten. And we might talk about that later because she might have forgotten this. They are pressure now. So today I'm talking to Liz Martell. Good day, Liz. How the devil are you?
Yeah, good day to you as well. I'm now worrying about what it was I must have said.
All I have to say, it had to do with flowery skirts. And that's all I'm going to say. Okay, that's more of that later. More of that later. Okay. So Liz, just tell us what it is you do.
Okay, so I, after 16 years in corporate world, decided to leave and set up my new business. Not really anticipating, as probably any of us did, the effects of pandemics and COVID and the rest of it, and decided to set up my own consultancy business, although mostly around coaching and personal development. And the way I describe that is about my passion for helping people. And I sort of try and resist the phrase to be the best version of themselves, but really that's what it is. And then also the impact that can have on their own businesses, so that they can be as successful as they want to be, really. So that's in essence really what I've gone away to set up, and taking away lots of knowledge from the past 16 years in corporate life and what I learned before that too.
Well, tell us a bit about that. So, because my understanding is you running your own businesses then took the corporate shilling. So tell us a little bit about that.
So back in the day, and it seems like a million years ago, I was in partnership with somebody and running a computer company and a desktop publishing company. They branched off into two separate areas. And for a long time, I was involved with Apple as an authorized reseller at the time, which was good fun. It taught me a lot. I learned all about Macs and desktop publishing and pre-press and printing, all sorts of amazing things, and came across some very interesting ways of working in the print industry. And we actually became really well known in the Apple fraternity, if you like, for pre-press and print, and for our ability just to not just sell for the sake of selling. So if somebody came to me and said, "Oh, I want to spend £10,000 on a computer," my response was, "Why?" And then unravel that and probably find that I could sell them a whole system for £8,000, which would do exactly what they wanted. And we got a good reputation for that. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, Apple then decided to go direct. So everyone can buy their own computer now, their own Apple Mac. And there wasn't really the desire to need that kind of help and consultancy. And because of our expertise in pre-press, it was around the time that e-commerce was starting its life in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
And we understood database publishing and pre-press when nobody really understood that. And we built the first shopping sites, believe it or not, for people like Avon Cosmetics, Halfords and Toys R Us and Babies R Us. And I remember trying to justify the cost of a shopping site that was going to cost a whole £7,000 for Toys R Us. Yeah. And now we're all in a completely different world. And in fact, Toys R Us don't exist anymore. So,
no.
But it just shows
well done in your shopping system.
Yes, thanks.
But it is fascinating because that was a time, wasn't it, where it's actually quite similar to now,
Yeah,
because you've got a re-rise of e-commerce that's been sort of fired up by Shopify, and this whole
absolutely.
idea of small, empowered small businesses. And then of course, big businesses actually using Shopify Plus and such like, and it's a real opportunity for entrepreneurs, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think it's kind of interesting what's happening with the pandemic. I don't want to go on too much about it because but it's around things like making people stop and think, maybe shopping local, trying to find people who've got really well set up small business websites for uh, more localized products. Well, that's not necessarily the right phrase, but
Yeah, I know
people
what you mean.
want to be clear. So if they can't go physically touch stuff, maybe they want to
Yeah,
find somebody that they can engage with, and so that's where being able to set up your own websites and think about what it is you want to do with your own business in a small way, I think is starting. Will possibly have an attraction going forward, but
yeah.
who knows with what's coming out of COVID-19.
Yes, but I mean, then you worked at a large company, so you must see a huge difference between little companies, owner-driven,
Yeah.
highly entrepreneurial, and then you went into a very large, credible, secure company to a certain
Yes.
extent.
So what happened at the end of running my own business was, in a nutshell, the dot-com bubble burst. All sorts of other things happened, and I found myself without a job. And everyone and sort of going to the job centre and saying, I need to find a job, and them saying, well, you must be able to find a job in what you're doing. And of course, there was nothing around. And so I basically temped for a while, did all sorts of things to keep myself busy, and eventually ended up getting a short-term contract with this corporate. Happened to be in the training department, and
Hey,
so I rather bravely said, "Oh, I've done training, which was computer training, which is completely different from people development. But hey, I
yeah,
wasn't worrying about that." And really, I was very lucky that they invested in me to become a trainer of people or a developer of people. And I suppose it really was a happy accident, because actually it's what I'm interested in, is helping and developing people,
yeah.
raising their awareness, giving them tools or mentoring or coaching or whatever to help them move on from wherever they currently are. Yeah.
Very good. And so many, many years as a corporate, doing all sorts of groovy stuff around learning development, organizational development. And then here you go around again. Time to come out. And and they all say, everybody says the very, very best time to start a new enterprise is in the middle of an absolutely terrible period, a mass recession, maybe, I mean, this is the perfect time to start. So they
Yeah,
say. Might not feel like that.
it is a happy accident, and at the moment I'm not worrying too much. But I think one of the benefits maybe of this sort of situation is that people tend to look for something more authentic.
Mm.
A bit like what I was saying earlier about finding small shops or trying to shop more locally or whatever. And so that's not to say that the big outfits that are doing organizational and personal development aren't going to be very successful, but there are some people who are going to want something which feels closer, more personal, more
Yeah.
authentic, more one-to-one, less corporate-y, I think. And in fact, the people I've been speaking to so far, and current small number of clients, but a current number of clients, and also potential clients, they're sort of excited about having direct contact with someone who, without all of the kind of noise of being in a corporate.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Well, okay. Well, let's unpack that a bit then. So, so you're a coach, and it's a frequently bandied about term.
Yeah.
So, what is it? How does it work? And why should we be interested?
Oh, that's a really cruel question, Russell.
I can
Coaching,
help.
coaching. The thing, it's funny because I sort of avoid using it in a way, the word coaching, because I've heard, I come across people who've got some very strong views about coaching, and my take on that is that they might have come across somebody who has had coaching, and they haven't seen that person improve. Now, that's not necessarily that individual's fault. That might be the coach's fault or whatever. There's who knows what's going on in that dynamics. And so that can really affect people's perception of what a coach is. But really, a coach, in my mind, is about someone who holds the space, asks the challenging questions that no one else is going to do, provides you with feedback if necessary, in a very authentic way. So maybe being very candid about, you know, how someone comes across, or have you thought about how you present yourself when you're talking about this particular subject in this particular way? And they might be really surprised because no one's ever said it before. So it's bringing stuff to people's awareness. So using a combination of feedback, honesty, authenticity. I know I've used it already, but that for me is really where it's at. And then holding that space and keeping it safe and confidential so that they can literally come to the meeting as a whole person.
And you keep using the word they. So who is the they you have in mind?
I mean, as an individual, I'm saying they. I've coached many people over the years, and I say coach not in the typical grow model or any specific model, but taking that time to sit one-to-one with somebody and hear what they've got to say, what's troubling them, or they've had this piece of feedback. What do I do with this? Or how should I react? Or I need to have a difficult conversation. In a way, it verges on mentoring as well. Is how I tend to operate, rightly or wrongly. But that's where I've had success is stripping away everything else and going, well, what is it you really want to get out of this and to achieve in this particular situation?
So brave, courageous, foolhardy,
Bonkers,
mad, bonkers. You know, what's the driver for doing this?
Actually, all sorts of things. I turned 50. I know you can tell. And I think there's a couple of things. There's something about age and wanting to do something for yourself, having flexibility, all of the things that you don't necessarily find in a corporate life. And also for some organizations, and particularly the organization I was working for was growing so massively that the impact I couldn't make the level of impact with individuals. So I was having smaller impact in a much larger organization, whereas actually if I'm working with small business owners, for instance, or whatever, I can really help those people massively. I think sometimes these things get lost in corporate world. And also I want to add, one of the things I have noticed, and maybe you have, Russell, as well, is when coaching is free within an organization, people are not necessarily invested to act on what they learn in those coaching sessions. So sometimes it could be, it's something I get a buzz out of is seeing somebody actually take action.
Yes. And what's fascinating here is that you and I actually met a while ago and had some coaching sessions. And I remember you saying at the time, I'd like to be a coach one day and do all that sort of stuff. But here's the thing. I mean, lots of people who say that, but here you are doing it. So
yes.
What advice do you have for people who are thinking, you know, and it might be a dream at the age of 30, or, you know, an ambition at the age of 40, or a desperation at the age of 60, or whatever it might be. But how do you turn that, or how have you found turning that idea, that glimmer, that aspiration, whatever the word might be, how do you turn that into reality? What practical steps did you take to do it?
Okay, there's 2 or 3 things I'm thinking of here. I'm going to reuse a phrase that someone once used with me many years ago, which was make the leap and the parachute will open.
Nice.
So you've just got to kind of have faith.
Yeah.
Part of it is practicing what I preach.
Yeah.
And I think as I've got older and more reflective and all of the other sorts of things that happen, really understanding what it is you're passionate about. And I spend a fair bit of time with people trying to explore that, because that's the thing that's going to, it's the thing that's going to make you potentially feel more fulfilled. So I've come across a lot of people who are running along in the rat race and trying to get the next promotion or whatever. And if you can get somebody just to reflect for 1 second about what is it they really, really, really love doing. And I'm not just talking about playing golf or whatever, well, it could be that, but whether for me, it was that realization that what I really like doing is I'm passionate about helping people develop. And that's the bottom line. So however you dress that up, that was actually the essence of it. And so I kind of needed to do something about that. Yeah.
Very interesting. It's one of those challenging things, isn't it? When people think, I mean, I wonder how many times people really do think, hey, I think I need a coach. So what are the good times that people could start to engage with a coach?
Oh,
where might they be in their lives or careers or businesses?
I think at any point, I'm struggling here a little bit as I'm thinking about your question. It's a very good one. I think at any point, whether it's because you're already doing well and want to do even better, or you're doing okay, but it's not, it feels like there's a gap. Some of this is going to be based on intuition. And I think one of the lucky things at the moment is maybe that coaching is becoming more known about as a form of personal development. And so people are taking more time to invest in themselves than maybe they were 10 years ago. Anything that helps with self-awareness, I think really will help with deciding to get yourself a coach. But it could be any time in your life. I've coached graduates who've just got their first job in a big organization. And I've also helped somebody who's thinking about their small business at home where they're making things and they're thinking about how to do it. And just one simple conversation can just really change how they start to direct their efforts, if you like.
Yes. And so let's say I'm a business owner. I'm thinking, oh, that's interesting. In a sense, what you're saying is I need to either step out or step up in some sort of way, and that a coach can help me there because they can act as a sounding board and help me make a decision. But they can also hold me to account, and that can be really helpful as well.
Yeah. The other point there, you said step up or step out.
Yeah.
The other one I would add, and it's not supposed to be negative, is actually take a step back.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think sometimes we, as a human race, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to achieve whatever other people are expecting.
Yes.
And so sometimes trying to just go, do you know what, I'm actually fine with this. I'm actually okay with where I'm at, and who am I comparing myself to?
Yeah.
So that's quite deep, but it's kind of important to know that it's okay to take a step back too.
Yeah. And there's two things about coaching I always like to think about. One, which is that you should never become dependent on a coach. That in a sense, coaching in a funny sort of way is one of those short processes rather than getting embroiled in these huge long counseling processes. And the other thing is that chemistry is really important, and I think people worry about, or I've been told people worry about the fact that, well, I've ended up with a coach I like, not necessarily the coach I need.
Yes.
And so that chemistry thing's quite interesting, and that it's really quite savvy in the sense of how you choose. You've got to be able to get along, but you do have to have someone who's going to push you and be your critical friend as well as just your friend.
And I think that's a really important point that you make, Russell, because you might need more than one coach.
Yeah.
Not necessarily at the same time. I'm talking about they have their purpose at different points. So very basically, you might want to work with a health coach, which will get you to a certain point and off you go and you're happy and you can achieve what you want to do. But then you might need to do something else for your business, and that's going to be a different person again. You're right. I think sometimes we get too comfortable. I think there's also an onus on the coach to be more responsible upfront with expectation setting.
Yeah.
So I know people talk a lot about chemistry sessions, having a chemistry session. And I'm all for that, but I think there's also an element of that which must be about expectations, which is, this is what I can and can't do for you. And it's actually really important to say what you can't do or what you're not prepared to do. And sometimes I think that may be missing from chemistry sessions as they're often known as. So that's something I feel quite passionately about, that expectations are covered. I know that I hope it's not too impolite to say this, but I have actually said to one client previously, I'm not here to blow smoke up your backside.
Yeah.
And I literally said that. I said, because if that's what you want, there are other people that you can pay a pretty penny for, and they will do that for you.
Yeah, they will.
But I don't think that's going to help you.
Yeah.
And one of the things they really loved about that was the fact that I was so direct, cut through so much, and said, right, this is where we're going to go, and this is how we're going to operate.
Yes. You can see that on things like LinkedIn and social media, this sort of saccharine agreement with commentary and such like, and that's great. But there's no creativity in an endless agreement, because actually it becomes a sort of comfortable groupthink experiment. And I think, again, it's that critical friend, isn't it? But it's coming from this place that actually I need to tell you because who else can?
Yeah, and I think you're reminding me that if you're not sort of having that conversation around expectations, or what you will do and what you won't do, and how you can and can't, you're actually doing a disservice to your potential client, and a disservice to you as a coach or a developer of people. There really does have to be a fair amount of honesty on certainly on the side of the coach.
And it is fascinating, isn't it, that point about developer of people, and that means people that run businesses need coaches, because there's the old management book, The Fish Rots from the Head, and you often find that the people at the top are the least developed people in any organization.
Yeah, I kind of think of that as, look, you may well want to invest in your business, and with that, for some people they'll justify buying a new car or new computer equipment, but actually there's an investment in people, which they sometimes get to. The next part of that is, and how are you investing in yourself?
Yeah, that's right.
It has massive value. And that's kind of, if I refer back to when I was talking about practicing what I preach and thinking about business planning, for instance, so challenging some business leaders on their business planning capability or where they're at with it. The standard thing is to talk about vision and mission, and then what your objectives are to feed into that. It's a similar process for investing in yourself as the head of the organization. What is your personal vision and mission statement, if you like, to make this happen?
So if someone's looking for a coach in the wilds of rural England, and someone who's challenging, authentic, and because they were always, and going to be direct and say what needs to be said and all that sort of stuff, Liz Martell is your woman. So Liz, how will people find you, get in touch with you? Okay. How does all that work?
I have a website. It's nice and concise, which is at www.brightzebra.co.uk. So, and my number is 01285 896 456. And usual places of LinkedIn, and eventually I shall be doing a little bit with Instagram as well. I think that would be a nice place to go with some visuals, let's say.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, well, good luck, and we'll be checking in, whether you like it or not, in 9 months' time, to see how it's all going. And and behind you will be a massive mansion, and
actually, that doesn't fill my boots. I'm thinking a woodland.
Yeah. A woodland. Have you got loads of horses down where you are now? You were very horsey when I say.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm sure they'll be appearing soon. Liz, it's been a joy to talk to you again. I wish you all sorts of luck, and you're an inspiration for anybody who's thinking about.
Oh, bless you. Thank you very much.
And knowing it's possible. And I love that, take your own medicine. What was it, the other one about the parachute? Make the leap.
Jump and the parachute will open.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So, if you don't do it, you never know. And it's better to have a go and find out, isn't it? So
absolutely. Yes.
That's fantastic. Thank you for spending time with us today. And you take care.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I hope you found that episode useful and interesting. Feedback is always welcomed, and if you are in the mood to subscribe to us or even leave a comment on iTunes or Stitcher, that would be amazing. If you want to suggest ideas or even people you would like me to interview, then reach out to us at qedod.com/contact. As I said earlier, you can go to qedod.com/podcasts for show notes or follow the links. And you can go to qedod.com/extras to access offers, tools and resources, including free articles and ebooks. For those of you that would be interested in supporting our work and contributing more proactively, you can find our new Patreon page at patreon.com. Then search for Resilience Unraveled. I look forward to being in your ear next time around. Take care.